So this video is about gaslighting and how gaslighting can be explored and understood by the tarot cards. I am trialing recording this via Zoom. So if there are any problems with sound or visuals, do let me know in the comments because I'm trying to find an easier way to record these so I can share videos more often. Now we're going to be focusing today a lot on the suited swords. I love the suited swords. Let me get that really clear. I love the Queen of Swords. I like the Knight of Swords. I love the King of Swords. The suit of swords is not a bad suit. It is the suit that reflects our communication and our logical mind. But you know what? Words can hurt, and somebody else's thoughts and words can be used to deliberately manipulate you and, quite frankly, send you batshit crazy. I know. I've been there. And when you are being gaslit, and I'm going to explore that term as well, it is a really strange space because it happens so slowly, you just don't realize it's happening. And I have to be honest, that is exactly what happened in the last sort of, I guess, 18 months of my marriage. Slowly but surely, my husband used his words to take away my sense of confidence, my ability to make rational decisions. Of course, I was a part of this as well. I enabled it to happen. But it really was a very strange experience. The term gaslighting comes from a movie. Gosh, I have seen it. I don't have access to Google, so I'm not going to share any specific facts about the film. It is an amazing film. It's an old film, and it's about a man. I'm not going to give away the plot, who is basically trying to make his wife doubt her own sanity. And the term gaslighting comes from the home was lit by gas lights, and he would turn down the gas and the lights would dim. And the wife would say, "Gosh, haven't the lights dimmed?" And he'd say, "No, no, they haven't." And she started to doubt her own sanity. So let's have a look at how this can be expressed in the cards. The Ace of Swords, of course, is clear communication. Here we have the single truth. We have the material crown here. I can see my focus goes out when I put my fingers in the screen, so I'm going to try and avoid that now. And that material crown represents the physical reality. To one side, we have the laurel branch for victory. To the other, the olive branch for peace. Communication can be used for amazing things. It can bring clarity, peace. It can, clear the clouds of despair. So communication can be a really good thing. You get the Ace of Swords, it's about speaking your truth. But let's have a look now at how gaslighting can unfold. We start with the Five of Swords. We jump straight in. The Five of Swords is about using it. I mean, every card, not every card, most cards have a positive side. I love the Five of Swords sometimes. It's that creative genius, it's believing in yourself. But the Five of Swords can represent someone who believes in their own words, even though it hurts someone else. So the main guy in the front with the red and the green, he's holding all the swords. He's won the battle. He's holding them by the handle. He's not hurt by this. And the other two are left a little bit in despair. So this can be, and of course, don't forget in any reading, the darker cards or the more difficult meanings can refer to you. We're not always the victims. But for me, that what happened was my husband got to the point where he was very comfortable criticizing me, complaining about what I hadn't done. And there didn't seem to be a two-way conversation about this. He held all the cards in this communication. I would listen, and he would wax lyrical about everything that was wrong in our life. And I very much allowed myself, because I am going to own this, to fall into the place of victim. And I gave him the power, because what I did, the Six of Swords, was I tried to keep the peace. And I think this is what happens for many. I'm not talking here perhaps about children, or if it's to do with a parent, but in relationships, I think what happens with the gaslighting is our partner becomes a little bit unstable. They are using words to hurt, And it is very easy to fall into the role of, I'm just going to keep the peace. I'm going to smile. I'm going to let that one go. Well, maybe actually, if I did keep the house a little bit tidier, look a bit prettier, lose a little bit more weight, maybe then he would be happy. So what happened was I became too accommodating. I tried to keep the peace. And so the gaslighting got deeper. Now, the real difference for me between, if I swap them over, the Five of Swords and the Seven of Swords, is the Five of Swords is less conscious. The Seven of Swords is very, very deliberate. I know what I'm doing, and I know the effect it will have on you. Whereas Five of Swords is more, I feel angry, I feel this way or that way, and I'm just going to use my words, and I'm not really sure, I'm not consciously trying to hurt you, but oh, Six of Swords, you're keeping the peace. I'm getting what I want. That's interesting. So to me, then it moves into the Seven of Swords, which is, I know that if I come home angry from work, you will, you know, try to keep the peace. You won't stand up for yourself. You won't ask me to compromise, and I can have the evening I want. That's what happens next, the Seven of Swords. The gaslighting, the verbal and emotional abuse became more deliberate, more planned, more purposeful. The next stage is the Eight of Swords. Instead of consciously trying to keep the peace, instead of thinking, well, if I make today a really good day in our marriage, then maybe tomorrow he'll be feeling happier, and maybe tomorrow we can be happier. Wouldn't that be nice? I became trapped in it. If we look at the Eight of Swords, these words, they can, and they often start off, the swords surrounding her, as someone else's words. But the dangerous moment happens when those words become your thoughts. And what happened was I moved from thinking, oh, he would like me to be more like this, into thinking, if only I could be more like this, then he could love me. It switched from being his words trapping me to my own thoughts trapping me. I'm going to be really honest, that's when it got dangerous. That's when I really let my boundaries slip. Possibly the worst moment was when I was teaching a shamanic workshop, and about an hour in, somebody said, I'm going to say it because we all want to know, why have you got a black eye? And it was like, ooh, because it wasn't there when I got up this morning. It, came through an argument in the night, and I was rightly called out for it. And I was told, what's going on, because you've always said to us you won't read for somebody who is still in a physically abusive relationship, because I don't want to be the ray of sunshine that allows somebody to stay in that situation. And yet you're still there and you're still going back. And it's because I didn't know, and I know it sounds mad now, but at that point I didn't know how to get out. And I certainly now have a lot more compassion and empathy for people that are in that situation. We read about it on books, we see it about it on the television. Why didn't they leave? Because at that moment, you are so deep in it, you don't think it's possible. Rationally now, I know the difference. But at that point, because then we get to the Nine of Swords, totally trapped. I mean, when I teach the Nine of Swords, what is the positive message of this card? The positive message is the red roses on the quilt, which is the physical world. You can't think your way out of the Nine of Swords, because thinking is what's got you there. You have to do something. Which is why the Ten of Swords is such a physical card. That's why the swords are in the back. You can't think yourself out of the Nine of Swords. You have to do something. I was really lucky, though it didn't feel like it at the time. I got a call from an outside agency advising me they were aware of my situation and the impact it was having on the children, and giving me a choice to either remove my own children or other things would happen. I left that day. It was the best thing that ever happened to me, even though it was really, really scary at the time. But I had been really trying, my job, if we come back to the Ace of Swords, particularly as a tarot reader, my job is to use words to help somebody to resolve their life issues. I really believed I could do that in my own marriage. I really believed that with thought and words, I would be able to resolve this, negotiate it, fix it, because I'm good at that. But there are times and places where it can't be done. And, you know, physical action needed to be taken, and I left. If you are worried about this for yourself, my honest advice is talk to a trusted friend. Talk to somebody who really knows you. I am immensely grateful for the close friends that remained honest with me, even then, when they had to be quite brutal and say, "You really are batshit crazy. We are scared. I am scared for you. This is not safe." And the most important thing you can do, even when you don't feel like doing it, is talk to somebody, even if it's a phone line, even if it's a charity, whatever. You've got to talk to somebody, because you cannot trust your own mind, because the last stage of gaslighting is it's your own mind that's trapping you. So you've lost, and I lost, that rational point of view that allowed me to make decisions that were safe and sensible, because somebody else, somebody I trusted, was manipulating my thoughts by their words. If you are, I'm just going to share some of the sort of the key cards that really came up for me a lot in this point. Not surprisingly, the devil. The devil is being trapped. The devil is feeling trapped. I was not trapped in that marriage. I allowed myself to feel I was trapped. It's really important. Five of Wands, chaos, confusion, an edge of aggression, often backed with the Nine of Wands. There was an undertone of aggression. There was an undertone, as if you don't do this, then there will be consequences. This aggressive undertone all the time. The Five of Cups. Yes, it's grief. Yes, it's sadness. One of the real keys to reading tarot is to be able to apply the card to any situation. My husband only ever saw what was wrong. He never saw the potential. That was in me, it was in his life, it was in everything. And yet, to the rest of the world, the Six of Wands, we looked like a good couple. We looked like a happy couple. There was a front was put on. One of the things as a tarot reader I've really come to understand is you never quite sure what goes on behind closed doors. People that seem like a perfect couple, so often, not always, but often there's real trauma there. Because if we look at the Six of Wands, we can't see the horse. This is a puppet's head. That's not a horse. Pamela Coleman Smith, I'm sorry, I'm going to scoot them out again. By God, did she know how to draw horses? Look at that beautiful horse. Look at the difference. This is things being hidden. King of Wands. It's not a bad card. There are times when it's a wonderful card, but it's that in a relationship, it can be, I don't want to be with you, but I don't want to leave you. So I'm just going to kind of be in this awful position where I'm not committed to making this work, but neither am I letting you go. And that was very much how it felt to me, as if my husband didn't want to make the marriage work, would do nothing to engage in resolving our issues, but he didn't want to leave either. Very, very difficult. And the Nine of Wands. So the Nine of Wands can be exhaustion, it can be worry about the past patterns repeating itself, but it can also be complex PTSD, which is what most of us, myself included, experience after being in a gaslit relationship. So I really hope that this is just an instructional video for you. But maybe being aware of the sorts of cards that I was getting can help you to keep an eye on your relationships, because don't forget, gaslighting is not just in romantic relationships. It is in friendships, siblings, parental, work, every relationship. many relationships dip into a little bit of casual gaslighting. I see it amongst my kids, where one of them will say, "It's not my turn to do that chore. I did it yesterday." They know full well they didn't. And when they're called out on it, they'll admit it. That's not gaslighting. Gaslighting is the drip, 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 drip till you actually believe it yourself. So hopefully this doesn't reflect you. If it does, please, please, please talk to somebody. Um, Whether it's a good friend or a loved one or some form of chat line, just talk to somebody, because we get lost in that reality and we don't realize just how toxic it is.